I wanted to start and ask you, I mean, I know you mentioned before that you see the character as a hero, but I'm wondering if, when you were reading the script, I mean, were there any characters that you drew parallels with in terms of literary characters or other roles you might have played?
Not specifically. We were pretty much on the same page as looking into these famous demagogues or cult leaders like Jim Jones, people like that, because they're onto something. There must be a reason why people follow them. They must be having a point, right? And I think that's the case with Casillas as well. I mean, he wants to make the world a better place. And the woman who's the mentor, the ancient one, obviously she's promised us everybody to share, but she's not sharing. Okay. So there's a certain amount of injustice in there as well. So he's a real socialist in many ways, like, hand it over.
Do you subscribe to that? I mean, would you kind of class yourself politically as a socialist? I mean, I'm just wondering in terms of you to kind of understand the character.
No, I'm very non-political in that sense, and I followed it with a healthy amount of surrealism, because it's surreal to watch sometimes. It's absolutely mad to watch. Not only what's happening over there, but also in our own countries. Yeah. Two grown-up people can't even have a debate without throwing things at each other. It just doesn't make sense.
I want to ask you about, obviously you're doing this and you've got Rogue One at the end of the year as well, but I mean, you're coming from Denmark and so on and so forth. You did a lot of, independent films and so on and so forth. I mean, obviously, budgets are bigger and so on and so forth, but I mean, in terms of script and, the films themselves, I mean, is there much a difference for you as an actor, or is it a case of just work as work?
It is different, but a lot of films are different. I mean, even two dramas you can't compare, or a dark comedy, or a musical for that matter, if I've ever done one. So there are genres. This is a genre film.
Sure.
And that you have to be true to the genre. That means that there are certain things that you will throw out. But the approach, when we're sitting there, 2 or 3 actors in a scene, we try to, I think we approach it pretty much the same way. Making it intimate, making it clear that we're all on the same page and this is what we're going for. That process is slightly different when you do, for instance, sometimes you can improvise a lot in a smaller Danish film.
Sure.
But that obviously is a no-go in a film like that.
Of course, yeah. Is there a genre you'd like to do? You mentioned musicals there. I mean, is there a genre that you've always wanted to do?
No, not necessarily something I dream about. I mean, I often mention that I'm a big fan of zombies, but that's not really a genre, is it?
Oh, it kind of is. Zombie horror.
Zombie genre, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of is. You'd like to do one of those?
Horror, real horror. I mean, I grew up with horror. I loved horror. And so maybe
Hannibal is kind of, it's art house horror, I suppose.
Yeah, it's more art house horror, intellectual horror. I'm talking like Halloween stuff.
Oh, like John Carpenter?
Yes, sir.
He's actually playing in Dublin tonight. I'm literally jumping on a plane here, going home to. Yeah, he plays. He tours with his son and a couple of his mates, and they play all the music from his concert. Yeah, it's fantastic. Can I ask? I mean, in terms of just what you mentioned there, like about keeping it intimate and so on and so forth. I mean, do you find working with Benedict Cumberbatch, who was obviously coming from classically trained theatre acting and so forth, and Benedict Wong as well, he did a lot of theatre work as well. I mean, do you find is there working with these kind of actors, does that add a sense of gravitas to something like this, like a genre film?
No, not because they're theatre actors, just because they're great actors.
Yeah.
I would say. I mean, I've done tons of theatre as well. So I think you can see it in all the Marvel films, the previous ones as well. I mean, they're all fantastic actors in there. Yeah. I mean, and there's a reason for it because they're great films. People want to be in those great films. They are lifting something from a piece of paper into something completely fantastic. And when I say fantastic, I mean it definitely in the fantasy way, right?
Sure, yeah.
And that is a hard thing to do. There are so many different genres and different films in the world, and it's sad to just fall in love with, the kitchen sink drama or only the superhero drama. I mean, I think there's a crisscross in there when they have something in common.
In this you're playing a villain. Obviously, in Hannibal you're playing a villain, and obviously in Casino Royale. Do you get afraid of being typecast? I mean, that doesn't bother you, or being afraid of?
No, not at all. I can just go home and do something else. So no, I'm going back and forth all physically as well, and I've played all kind of things in between as well. Yeah. But these are the things that have become big.
Sure.
A lot of people have seen. And some of the smaller stuff, maybe not as many I've seen, but that's the way it is.
So it keeps you like.
It's a nice variation from back and forth. I mean, I've never been afraid of that. I think once you start getting afraid of those kind of things, everything stops.
Great stuff. Okay, Mads, we've got to leave it there. Thank you.